Hi guys, and welcome to the Secret Sanctuary. It's a really big night here tonight because I'm sitting here with the PrototypeZ Kingdom Come Superman, which I've been waiting for about a year. This comes as a kit, unpainted. I first saw it offered, I think on Facebook, around December of 2015. And I was wowed by it. It's a wonderful interpretation of the character. But I want to give you a little bit of advice about the whole process. A lot of you probably have already done this if you've been collecting statues for a long time, or you've purchased a kit and hired a painter and the whole rigmarole. But some people haven't. So I would like to give you a little insight on the process and some of the hiccups and all that. So anyway, as I said, I bought the kit in December, or I ordered the kit in December, and then I had to move on to finding a painter. So I looked on Facebook, started joining a few statue groups, and looking at painters who had posted their work there. And quickly, I focused on a painter out of Arizona named John Allred, who was posting photos of things that he was working on as he was working on them, step by step, so I could see his process. And I was impressed. And he also had a large portfolio posted on Facebook, at least 150 photos of statues that he'd worked on in recent years. And it was beautiful work. It was amazing stuff. So I hired John, but even though we were talking in either December 2015 or January 2016, he didn't have an open week for me until December of 2016, fully a year later. And so that was my week, the week starting December 19th of 2016, which turned out to be a good thing that it was such a long wait, because there were some delays in the release of the kit. It actually didn't come out or didn't ship until either the very end of November or the beginning of December. So the kit, I think it arrived maybe 1 week before my slot. So that was a big sigh of relief when I got the email from John that it had arrived in time. So once I had the painter in place, he had the kit, and he started working. He also had another customer with the same kit. And so he asked me if it'd be all right if he did both kits the same week, because it would save a lot of time rather than, painting each section for one and then a week later painting the same pieces for another. It didn't make any sense. They were back to back, so might as well do them together, which was fine with me. And he promised that he would do something different on each statue so that they weren't identical twins, which is something that you want with something like this, where you're having it custom painted. You want yours to be somewhat unique somehow. The other amazing thing about this statue is only 80 kits were produced. I think, although his intentions were great, Eric Sosa at PrototypeZ, I think he really wanted to make the DC kit thing fly and make it a success. But it's an expensive process to buy the kit. I think the kit was about $425. And then you have to go hire a painter. The paint job for this was over $500. And then you got some shipping involved. And pretty soon you've got a quarter scale statue that's about $1,000, which is hard to take. But there's only 80 in the world, which is great. I mean, if you look at the Sideshow Superman PF, the comic book PF, there are 6,000 of those, I think, that they've made at this point. So to have a statue where there's only 80 is really extraordinary. So John got to work, and I didn't want to flood him with instructions. We all know what colors Superman's costume are. We know what the Kingdom Come colors are. But as far as tones, what blue to use, what red to use, I had some thoughts, but I waited for John to ask me. And we went back and forth a little bit. He said there was a certain blue that he really liked, and he showed me examples, and I thought it looked great, so we went with that. We both agreed that the reds should be a little bit darker, that we're not really dealing with a Superman that's wearing primary colors as he would in his youth. This is an older Superman, gray at the temples, and the colors should be deeper, just as his life experience is deeper. And we agreed on that, and so that's what we went with. I'll give you a little bit more here. Actually, I'll show you the whole thing. It's pretty magnificent, I would say. I love the blues. I think it's a really, really nice blue that he used. He did some nice shading. You can see it on the trunks especially, and on the cape, and of course on the portrait. But anyway, but throughout the week, John started posting images on Facebook. One day was the base, one day was painting the legs, painting the boots. You know, each piece he would post that on Facebook. So it was very fun to experience that throughout the week and to see the statue come to life. In fact, at one point he posted a picture of the entire kit assembled but unpainted except for the portrait. So I could imagine the head of the statue had come to life with his paint, and I could imagine it slowly moving downward and the entire statue coming to life as he painted it. So it was really a very fun week. As far as the results, the only complaint I have, and it's really tiny, is that the S on his chest, it's kind of loose. It doesn't really snap in. It's there and it won't fall off unless there's an earthquake or something. That could be a problem. And I suppose that I could dab a little super glue on it and make it permanent, but this statue has the option of converting to the classic Superman. It has the belt, the yellow and red belt. It has the red and yellow S insignia for his chest, like so. And it has a switch out S for the base, which is red. And so you can make him completely classic Superman. The only difference from a normal image of Superman or statue is that he's going to have the gray at the temples, which is something you can't really switch out. That was another thing that we talked about when he first sent me images of what he had done with the portrait. I thought that the gray at the temples was a little too heavy. It looked like it looked too white. There was a big splash of white on each side of his head. And so I asked John if he could do more of like a salt and pepper look. And he was very happy to do that. And I received images, I think hours later, where he had fixed it, blended in black with the white. And I think it looks wonderful. I really like how he made that work. Okay. I'm going to stop here for a moment and do a few close-ups. I thought you guys might enjoy that. Here's the base of the statue. I thought about this a lot. It was tempting to have John use more than one color on the base, but I didn't want it to be too busy. I wanted the statue to be the star of the piece. And so we had seen another painter who had done a metallic base, and also I emailed the sculptor, Eric Sosa, and I said, Eric, what did you envision for the base? And he said metallic. So we decided to go with that. So I'm quite happy with it. Since John finished the statue, I did see another base done by a different artist that was multicolored, and it was quite nice. It also had a blue triangle around the black S in the base that looked translucent, or it looked illuminated, and that was a really cool look too. So that's the base. You can see that John also added a little bit of blue to the crystals, which I think helps bring them to life. There's Superman's boots. You can see there's a nice texture to them. And there's that blue that I'm very fond of. I love the clenched fists, the gold belt buckle. And the star of this piece is the portrait. This is clearly a Superman that's been around for a while. He's been through some battles, and you can see it in his face and the lines in his face and in his eyes. That's just awesome. If Superman was real, this is what he'd look like. Great stuff. All right, I'm gonna try to keep this somewhat steady and spin him around. There you see the gray at the temples, subtle. I like the way the hair dovetails in the back. You can see there with the chest emblem, it's not flush, but I think once I get him positioned or displayed, I won't even notice that. Not a big deal. Let's see if I can get a little closer without losing the focus too much. All right. Overall, I have to say I'm pretty thrilled with the statue. It's amazing. Okay, so here's Casey's Superman set up next to the Resinworks Superman here and the Sideshow Superman. And I think you can see quite a disparity in size. And it's a reminder to me that while statues have many great qualities, every statue has a problem or two. And to me, this is a pretty significant one, and one that I kind of suspected. Me and a friend of mine, Sam, we both asked our painters to measure the statues, and it seemed a little bit small to me, to be honest. Sideshow Superman, just the figure minus the base, measures 19.5 inches. That translates to a Superman who is 6 foot 6 inches tall. That sounds about right. Resinworks, from foot to the top of his head, not counting the base, is 20 inches, which is a 6 foot 8 Superman, which seems a bit tall to me. KC Soups, Kingdom Come Soups, is 17.5 inches, not counting the base, which translates to a Superman that's 5 foot 10 inches tall, which in my mind is way too short for Superman. Superman should be at least 6 foot 4. He should be an imposing figure. Even among the JLA, he should be an imposing figure. Tell me Aquaman is 5'10"? I can buy that. Tell me Green Lantern is 5'10". I could buy that. Superman is not 5'10". There's just no way. And that's a problem with the initial sculpt. Of course, I can't blame the painter, John Allred. He did a fantastic job. But the initial concept for this sculpt is too small. And it translates to the whole statue if you compare not just the height, but the size of the portraits here, here, and here. Kingdom Come Superman's is significantly smaller than the other two. So while I would say this is not really a quarter scale statue, I also can't say it's a 1/5 scale. 1/5 scale would put him at about 7'3", 7'4", which obviously is way too tall. but he really is about halfway between a quarter scale and a fifth scale statue. It's a shame, and I don't really understand why Eric made that choice to make Superman only 5'10", which is clearly just too short. But it's a reminder that no statue is perfect, except maybe Samurai Batman. All right, so I would just say in general, if you find a kit that you really like, I would encourage you to go for it. Go ahead and purchase it, find yourself a painter. It's a really wonderful experience because you feel as if you're collaborating on the piece. You feel like not a sculptor, you feel like a painter for a week. And again, it's not just painting, it's taking a kit of several pieces and assembling and bringing it to life with paint. And I think it's a very worthwhile experience if you find a kit that you really like. I'm not sure people are doing them very much anymore, and often when you see them, they might not be licensed. So there's an ethical quandary there, whether you want to own unlicensed pieces in your collection. I only have one. I have the Resinworks Superman. Everything else is Sideshow or XM Studios or Blitzway, all licensed products. But I would encourage you to do it. Find yourself a kit, find a painter, and collaborate and make a wonderful piece. So that is the PrototypeZ Kingdom Come Superman. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and I'm freaking out. Kingdom Come Superman. It's awesome. Have a good night.